Hey guys, today on Meal Prep Monday, I'm going to feature one of our favorite recipes. I like to prep this recipe almost every week, not every week, but several times a month, and we eat off of it all week. I use these buns for like breakfast sandwiches or pulled pork or hamburger buns. These are not my original recipe, but my husband found it on, I believe it's dietdoctor.com. But I'll put the link below so you can follow it. I have made some changes to it to adapt it more to our liking. So I'll talk about that as I go on. And I'll show you the finished product at the end. Let's get started. So I have all my ingredients ready. I'm going to show you this recipe for the rolls that I make during the week. Sometimes I make them every week, sometimes not every week. But this week I'm going to make a double batch, which is going to make 12 nice size rolls. This is not my recipe. My husband found it a couple months back at dietdoctor.com. I'll link the recipe down below in the description so you guys can see the exact amounts. Because today, in respect to that blogger, I'm not going to give his or her recipe out. I'm just going to tell you the ingredients I'm adding. And then please go below and click and follow the link to their blog and you can see the exact measurements. I've already put the almond meal or almond flour in the mixer. The only thing I would say, you can use flour or meal. The flour's a little bit little less coarse, but just make sure you get blanched almond flour or almond meal, okay? So the next thing, they call for all psyllium husk, and that's powdered, that's the brown stuff. But I do half psyllium husk ground, and then half Trim Healthy Mama oat fiber. That's my yolks back there. I'll show you why I got those back there. Anyway, so I do half psyllium husk and half oat fiber, which, if you're not familiar with each, both of them are a form of insoluble fiber, or a dietary fiber that helps with digestion and things like that. So if you're having problems on low carb or Trim Healthy Mama with the issue like that, this will give you plenty of fiber and it should help you, make you feel a lot better, and they also taste wonderful. So there's that, a little plug there for fiber. Next I have the bacon powder in there, and then 2 spices that I like to add that's not in the recipe, and that's a half a teaspoon of garlic powder and a half a teaspoon of onion powder. And there's also the salt in there that the recipe calls for. You guys might, this mixer is just a little bit dirty because I already made a batch over here, which I'll show you in a minute, so I'm just reusing it. The next thing I will add in is the egg whites that the recipe calls for. This is just whole eggs that I've separated out. That's the yolks over there. I'm going to use those for my different ice cream recipe I have coming up later today. So far in here I have almond meal, psyllium husk, oat fiber, I have baking powder, garlic powder, onion powder, and salt. And it also calls for 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. So I just have them stuck here because I didn't want to get another bowl out. So I'm going to pour that in there. So that's so far. And the next thing that the recipe calls for is boiling water. And I have that ready over here. I'm just going to grab it. And before I start pouring, I like to turn the mixer on low. So I'm going to do that. Hopefully it won't be too loud, and hopefully you guys can see. Okay, so the mixer's going. And I'm going to slowly pour in this boiling water. Again, you can find the exact amounts that the recipe calls for in the link description below at dietdoctor.com. This is a really, really simple recipe, you guys. Okay, so there's all my boiling water. Hope you guys can see. Alright, so watch it form. It takes really, really quick, guys. And like I said before, I add the spices, garlic powder, and onion powder. But you don't have to, because the recipe actually is making garlic bread. So later they make a garlic butter to go on top. But I like to form these into rolls and have them as sandwiches for breakfast sandwiches and stuff like that on our busy mornings. Okay, just let this go a few minutes and you'll start forming a dough and pulling away from the sides. You guys, I don't know why I'm extremely nervous filming today, but I am. So that's done. That's it. I'm just going to turn it off, and I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to show you the consistency of this. It's really, because of the fiber, it has a gelatinous form, but don't worry about that. And I'm just going to watch it come off real easy. Sorry for all the racket, you guys. Okay, now I'm done with that, so I'm going to put that in the sink. This is our dough. I'm going to spray my hands, and I'm going to show you how I divide it into balls, to form rolls. This I'm going to divide into 6. So this is my second batch, so I'm making 12 this week. And let me show you how I do that in just a second. Okay guys, I have my dough that we made just now divided up into 6 balls. The first one you'll see, the first thing I did was divide them up into 6 equally sized portions. They do not have to be exact. I just kind of, I don't weigh them out or anything. I just start balling them up. And if some look smaller than the others, then I just, you know, take away from the larger ones and add to the little ones. Hope you guys can see these well. So then you see that I start shaping them into round patties. Now, these don't have to be perfect either. I mean, doesn't have to be perfectly shaped like a hamburger bun or anything like that. And just telling my son that we could also make these into hot dog buns, and we may try that sometime for when we grill sausages or something like that. But anyway, I've had 3 of the patties started. Then I'm going to do these other 3, and I'm going to put them in the oven that's preheated to 350 degrees, and then I'll show you what they look like when they come out baked. Okay, guys, so this is the batch of rolls out of the oven. You can see that they're a little bit brown. Listen. I don't know if you guys can hear this. You want them to sound like you do when you're baking bread. And when you tap on the bottom, it needs to sound a little bit hollow. That lets you know that these are baked all the way through. See, they are soft. They're not hard. You can leave them like this. And I cut one in half. Sorry, guys. Hope you can see that. I cut one in half so you can see the texture. Look how great that looks. See how it looks like that? Now, let me do a little disclaimer here. I changed the recipe a little bit. So, where their recipe says 5 tablespoons of psyllium husk, I used 2.5 tablespoons of psyllium husk and then 2.5 tablespoons of Trend Healthy Mama oat fiber. Now, you can use any brand of oat fiber you have, or you could just use all psyllium husk like the Diet Doctor recipe below in the description. The Diet Doctor recipe is delicious. It does have a little bit of a, my son doesn't like the texture because it is a little bit chewy, and that's because of the psyllium husk. But I love the texture that the oat fiber brings. It makes it a little less chewy and a little bit more bread-like. Can you see how soft that is? We like to toast these up before we make our sandwiches. That way the bread doesn't get soggy. So here's what a batch of the rolls look like. You saw the ones I patted out earlier. They are still in the oven. You bake them at 350, and I bake mine for 50 minutes, but just follow the recipe that's down below, and it will take anywhere between 45 to 50 minutes. Here's going to be my lunch shortly, so I do get to reap the rewards of spending time in the kitchen making these. This is just one roll cut in half with like, I think it's 2 tablespoons of low-carb light pizza sauce and a couple of tablespoons of mozzarella cheese and 3 pepperonis each. I'm just going to toast these up in the oven and enjoy those for lunch. So there you have it, guys. Those are the low-carb buns that I like to use for our family. This week we're going to be having some pulled pork sandwiches on them and breakfast sandwiches. So that's why I made a double batch. I hope you enjoyed them. I'm looking forward to trying my lunch here. And as always, if you are new to this channel, please like and subscribe. And thank you for showing up today. And all my subscribers that come back each time I make a video, I sure appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next time.